Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh. We've got a good show for you today. What is up, everybody? Welcome on in. As always, breaking down all the nerdy news and goodness that's coming out there in the world. We've got some interesting topics to get into today. We want to talk about Captain America: Brave New World. The movie's now been out for 4 weeks. We have a pretty good idea of what the overall box office for that film is going to look like and whether or not it was a success. So we'll get into that. That should be an interesting conversation. That's going to take us into a conversation about Phase 4 versus Phase 5. I was looking at some stuff earlier today, and I was like, man, I just don't know. I kind of think Phase 5 might be even worse than Phase 4. So we'll get into that. We'll break that down. I also want to talk about the Thunderbolts movie, the next big movie for Marvel Studios, and they have a very interesting strategy as far as how to market this thing, A24 strategy. And I want to break down a couple of things that came out over the weekend, including a hilarious clapback from the A24 social media account with regards to some stuff that the Thunderbolts movie's cooking up. Kind of wild. So we'll get into that. We need to talk about Star Wars. I know, but there's some information out there. Daisy Ridley's out there talking about the future of Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy and how all of that is going. So we will get into that as well. And then there's a small story about Invincible. Invincible season 3 charted on Nielsen. That's a big deal. We'll talk about the numbers. We'll talk about why it happened. We'll talk about what it means for the rest of the nerdy content that we all love. Ladies and gentlemen, today is kind of a different kind of day. We are using different software today. And the thing that's kind of cool about it, you've seen Streamlabs before. So we can pull up these chats like this, which should make the Q&A section of the video or the show today really interesting, really fun. Be able to actually pull up what different people are saying. That's going to be cool. So we will do that, as always, later on in the show. Jacob Stowe, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Guys, tell me. How does it look? How does it sound? What? There's something wrong with the mic? What's wrong with the mic? Tell me. Is it too crispy? Are you not used to it being this crispy? What's wrong with the audio? Is it literally the wrong mic? That would be terrible. Let's check it out. No, it says wait, what? Is it the wrong one? Is this much better? Is this much better? Was the audio ass? Was the audio ass? It sounds more microphony than usual. Well, is it different now? How's it now, chat? It's better? Still no good. What? Sounds fine now. Yeah, so it's this will take a little bit of adjusting, guys. We'll tweak it a little bit here and there. It is a little bit different. I don't like the video. There's something's going on with the video. It's crazy. Like I actually don't understand fully what's happening, but when I don't use the LUT, which is like a thing to adjust like basically how you look on camera, I look so red. And the thing that I don't understand is, like, when I look at the actual viewfinder on the camera, I don't look crazy red. Okay. But then when it's just capturing the camera natively, for whatever reason, it like jacks the saturation up or something, and it makes me look like super red. So I don't know exactly what the solution is. I'm gonna tweak a little bit more with it. But I don't like does it look like fine for you guys? Because it looks a little I don't know if delayed's the right word, but it looks a little strange. What do you think? What do you think? What up, Josh from Australia? Says Ash Chase. Thanks, appreciate it. What up? How's Australia? What time is it on Australia right now? What time is it? And then the other thing I don't like is the music. I don't have as much control over the music, although I think I can fix that, actually. I think I can change that. It's just going to take some time to adjust. Looks okay. All right, cool. Looks and sounds normal. That's great. That's fantastic. That's what we want to hear. Is it looks and sounds great. and regular and normal. Cool. You look a little delayed and sounds just a little off. Okay. Well, we'll make some adjustments over time. I'm gonna watch it back too. I'm gonna watch the stream back. I'm gonna look at what it looks like, and we're gonna make some adjustments. Hey, maybe we go back to the other way. I'm not really sure, but I really don't like stream whatever that one is. The Stream Labs. Why do they all sound the same? Streamlabs OBS, StreamYard. Jesus. But yeah, no, I really don't like Streamlabs, although I am technically using it right now, which sucks, but I'm using it to fix the camera, which is also really stupid. So, frankly, a lot of stuff going on. We'll tweak it, and who knows? Maybe we'll just go back to the other one. Maybe I'll find a different solution. I'm not really sure. But regardless of all of that, we do have some cool stuff to get into today. So I'm excited to get into it, and it should be fun. Kind of a chill day, not a ton of crazy news out there. Again, Captain America just had its 4th weekend. We basically now know what that all looks like, where it's going to get to. That's going to be an interesting conversation. I want to talk about Phase 4 versus Phase 5. Let's talk about Thunderbolts, this A24 vibe. I mean, the question there is like, is that working? Because for me, TLDR, it's getting me kind of excited. I don't know how well that marketing strategy will do with the normies and with just regular folks, but for me, it's cool. I'm into it. I think it sounds good. And then, of course, we got to talk about Star Wars. It's completely cooked, and I'm going to rage out about that, and we'll talk a little Invincible, too. I'm not seeing any of this delay you guys are talking about. Well, that's good. That is good. Yeah, again, we'll tweak it all. We shall figure it out. The frame rate is lower. That's intentional, but that shouldn't cause some of the issues that I'm seeing. So, again, we will get into all of it. All right, you ready to try the other weird thing? Let's try this out. How are we gonna do this? Boom. And I believe, yeah, boom. There you go. All right. So check it out. We're going to start here talking about Captain America, Brave New World. Out of curiosity, too, chat, I'm just curious. How many times did you guys go to see this movie in the theaters? Definitely curious about that. For me, it was one, and I regret going even that once, honestly. I obviously really did not like this movie, which we will talk more about in just a second here. But with all of that said, we are now on the 4th weekend, and it added 8.5 million in its 4th weekend frame. It will end the weekend with 177 million domestic and 370.8 million worldwide. A solid tally, except that it costs more than 180 million to produce and roughly 100 million to promote. Okay, so in the 4th weekend, we're now kind of getting a look at it, and barring some kind of a miracle here, the main story and the main takeaway here is that this movie will not hit the 425 mark that was, in my opinion, artificially set up anyways. So what that means is Captain America Brave New World, obviously a Marvel movie, obviously a lot at stake. There's a lot of attention on it, a lot of attention on Disney, et cetera, et cetera. Captain America Brave New World went through reshoots, a lot of rumors as far as how many reshoots, how much of this movie was changed, et cetera. The movie, as it was coming out, the studios came forward and they came up with this number of $180 million as the budget, and the number $425 million. This was in all of the trade articles as they were talking about the opening box office for the film. It was like, we came up with some crazy math in order to pave a path forward for Captain America Brave New World, where it could basically get some good headlines. I think what they were looking for was, its budget was this, it's reached 425. The movie is profitable from here on out. The movie did not lose Disney any money. All of those sort of things. I think those are all the headlines that they were looking for. Now, the reality is, although we don't know what the actual budget was for the movie, many, many, many people highly doubt that 180 number. Like, sure, in some way, due to some kind of accounting, and really, truthfully, it's probably offloading costs into like a different production, a different LLC, not really combining it in with the actual cost to develop and produce this movie. So, due to some shenanigans, I'm absolutely certain they could put some kind of piece of paper in front of us that would explain that the budget is 180, but I don't think that's the actual budget. By the way, if you've ever taken a trip down the crazy rabbit hole that can be the budgets of these different movies, you'll find some incredible stuff. Like even Infinity War and Endgame, their actual budget is much larger than what was initially revealed to be the budget of those films, and they have all sorts of accounting tricks to hide this. Okay, so if you've ever been down that rabbit hole, you'll know most movies actually cost way more than what the studios say they cost. Okay, so regardless of all of that, here's the point. It seems like Marvel and Disney created a fake budget and a fake number that was a very safe play for this movie. And ultimately, it was all in the service of getting good headlines and sort of protecting the Marvel brand and protecting perhaps Anthony Mackie, their new Captain America, and all of that. The sad reality is they did not even get to the fake number that they had put out there in order to get all of those headlines. So, highly doubt that this movie will get to that 425 number. It's very likely to just barely get over 400 million, and that will be after several more weeks of really low box office. Like it'll probably drop to around 4 to 5 million next weekend, 3 to 2, et cetera, something like that, to the point where like eventually they take it out of there. It's just really hard to imagine a scenario where it gets to 425. So obviously, that's bad. And I wonder what the headlines will be when it actually comes out, when it's finally done in theaters and it does not actually hit that mark. I wonder what the headlines will be. Well, do you think there'll be something like it's almost profitable or it almost didn't lose money or it's, so like I really wonder what the narrative is going to be. But at the end of the day, like the whole conversation around Captain America Brave New World has been so ridiculous to me because I just don't understand how we're not able to just take a step back and say this sucks and this is a failure and clearly fans are not into this. And I don't know. I mean, there could be maybe many reasons as to why, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty clear message to me. I mean, the last movie the studio put out made like $1.3 billion. It's Deadpool and Wolverine. And then you have Sam Wilson as Captain America, and this shit's barely going to hit $400 million. And it's still going to lose money, even according to the wacky Looney Tune math that you're trying to get us all to believe. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not trying to go super hard on the movie, but I kind of like hate this attitude that some Hollywood studios have. And Marvel in particular has kind of had this attitude a little bit. Star Wars definitely has this attitude. We'll talk more about them in a little bit. But this attitude that's like, yeah, but it's not that bad. Yeah, but it's going to get better. Like, nah, don't focus on this. Like, it's weird because this definitely feels like a stinker and it feels like the fandom's trying to speak. And I think the more that the studio signals that they're not really listening or that, they're creating this narrative that's so far away from what most people believe is real, it's just isolating and alienating more and more of the audience. So I don't know. At the end of the day, hopefully they can just put this behind them. And, right now, Daredevil, I think, is a pretty big success, although we have not heard any numbers released by Disney about Daredevil. That's another really interesting thing. It's kind of like a non-story that's really kind of a big deal if you think about it. By the way, if that happens, chat, you got to let me know because they could drop that shit. They could drop that shit at any moment. You know what I mean? Like they could drop that shit at any moment. But so far, they have not dropped anything. So we don't know exactly how well Daredevil is doing. And it does not seem like it's a big smash hit. Otherwise, they'd be out there talking about it. Point is, Daredevil turning things around. Thunderbolts, which we're about to talk about, obviously seems pretty good. And then you have the Fantastic Four, which I've heard is fucking incredible. So that's going to be really cool. With Doomsday and Secret Wars and Spider-Man 4 around the corner, yes, there's a lot of hype building up for the future. But it's like, it's just a weird bummer that this has happened. And I got to say, I think Marvel should not do this again. I know, right? Like, great advice. Wonderful, incredible advice, Josh. Marvel should not do this shit again. And I'm serious. Like, dude, I do not know how many more of these that brand can survive. This one feels in some ways acceptable just because there's so much coming. It kind of feels like it's at the end of a line of some not so great stuff happening. So I think the fandom can absorb this. I don't think it's going to be terrible, but I got to tell you, man, I really don't think that they can afford many more of these. You've got, Rob Liefeld continuing to talk about how Feige's lost his touch and needs to get off the mound. This becomes a lightning rod for people that want to take shots at Marvel Studios and besmirch Feige and what's going on there. Now, the other thing about this, right, because just trying to keep you up to date on how this is going, the other thing that's really crazy is it made me realize something about Phase 4 versus Phase 5. Okay, so check this out, guys. This is a post that somebody made, and they were just ranking the Phase 5 projects, okay? But the wild thing about this image is that it made me realize that I feel like Phase 5 is worse than Phase 4, guys. Like, real talk, okay? And I want to sort of talk about this a little bit because, I had a really interesting conversation with Elisa about this, and it made me realize a couple of things because perspective is really important here. But, like, check this out. By the way, I wonder, do any of you guys agree? That's actually interesting. There's no X-Men 97. That's fair. No X-Men 97 on here. That should be on here, and that's pretty fire. But just check this out. This bottom row here, right? Captain America, Brave New World, The Marvels, Quantum Mania, Secret Invasion. Guys, these are 4 of the worst Marvel projects ever created. And I mean that like subjectively, like that's what I think. Like I hated Brave New World. The Marvels is like whatever, but it's goobly glob. Like it's so bad that I didn't feel like being like super hard on it because I was like, bro, even if this movie was really good, like it's just this goofy ass like sleepover girls club thing. It was never gonna be for me. So like even a better version of the Marvels is like whatever to me. Quantum Mania is a movie that made me wish I didn't have eyeballs. And Secret Invasion is so bad that I think that solidified the MCU soft reboot. Like, guys, these are horrible fucking projects. And they have, I think, some of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores. In fact, I think these are the 3 lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores. These might be the 4 lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores in the entire Marvel catalog. And it's basically half of what you have so far in Phase 5, okay? Now, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine's good. Overrated, but good. Guardians 3 is good, but the more I thought about Guardians 3, I'm like, yeah, it's maybe in the top 10 of MCU, maybe, but probably not. It's probably not even top 10 MCU. But I think because we were swimming in the sea of this, Guardians 3 felt like Dances with Wolves. Like it was absolutely incredible. Even Loki, guys, I like Loki season 2, particularly the ending of it. But there's a lot of Loki season 2 that is okay at best and not nearly as good as season 1, right? So I do think that season is a step down. They work brilliantly as a 1-2 punch. Agatha All Along is like an interesting project. They don't even have Echo on here, right? And Echo's goobly glob as well. Agatha is an okay project. It actually does surprise me in some ways, but it's nothing that I really think about. It's nothing I want to revisit. It wasn't like a crazy good time as a fan. Like, dude, guys, the more I thought about this, the more I was like, damn, Phase 5 is legitimately worse than Phase 4. Now, this also made me think of something. And as I was talking about this with my wife, it made me realize that it might not feel this way to many people. And I wonder if you guys agree. Do you agree with this or do you think no, Phase 4 was worse? Let me know in the chat. But I think perspective is kind of an interesting thing here because as Phase 4 was happening, we were just coming out of the Infinity Saga and Endgame and Spider-Man, Far From Home. And it just seemed like we were on top of the world. And I really, truly believe that what happened during Phase 4 was like this fall off, but it felt gradual, not because it was necessarily an actual gradual fall off, but because the goodwill that we had for Marvel kind of slowly waned. Like I remember talking about Eternals because you think about Phase 4, right? You have the Black Widow movie, you've got WandaVision, you got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you've got Loki, you had Eternals, and then you had Shang-Chi. And I think the thing about Eternals is I remember talking about Eternals with people, talking about Eternals with you guys, and sort of suggesting, like, I think they're making some fundamentally bad decisions here. Like, for instance, Jack Kirby, known as very colorful, like that's kind of his whole thing was color, bombast, craziness, more like what you would get in like a Ragnarok or even Love and Thunder. And you have this like grayscale, like muted color, muted palette, more serious take with Chloe Zhao. I just felt like it was kind of like a weird fit. But as I was bringing this up, I remember a lot of you guys were so mad at me. You were saying like I was a hater and all of these sort of things. And I think the reason that happened was because I kind of was a little bit ahead of not liking Phase 4, right? Like I remember I really didn't like Black Widow's fine. It's fine. It's nothing crazy. The ending is whack. Taskmaster is fucking terrible, but it's fine. WandaVision is pretty good, and then the ending is terrible, in my opinion. I think the finale of WandaVision is trash. Falcon and the Winter Soldier starts strong, and then it gets goobly glob fast, right? And so around the time that Eternals was coming out, like some of you guys were getting mad at me because I was actually really being harsh on a lot of the MCU stuff. But what happened was the fandom slowly realized how bad things were going, and it felt like a big fall off, man. Like by the time the fandom kind of caught up with what was happening, and then we get into like some of the big stinkers, like your Love and Thunder, and honestly, a lot of the shows too. I think it just became a sort of watershed moment. People were, like all the goodwill of Infinity War and the Infinity Saga was gone. And so it felt like a big fall off, right? Because you had gone from this incredible place. And the other thing that's wild to keep in mind, and I wonder if Marvel realizes this, they would have to. Around the time of Endgame, they saw so many new fans come into the MCU. That's not something we talk about a lot, but it's absolutely true. So Endgame was so big that it brought a ton of fans into it. It brought Elisa into it, right? So like a lot of people started binging the movies or watch the movies to catch up. Endgame was monumental. So you bring in a ton of new fans and it's peak. We're at the top of the game. And then it falls off. So phase 4 feels like this really big fall off. And then all of a sudden, because you've fallen off, and because frankly, the multiverse saga and Kang and all that setup was terrible, it didn't feel connected in the same way that the Infinity Saga did. It felt kind of hopeless. Okay. And then obviously, Quantum Mania and Marvels, and that was a wild time period. You remember the 1-2 punch of Quantum Mania and Secret Invasion? Holy shit. If Marvel can survive that, they can survive anything. And I think right around this time, as things were falling apart in early phase 5, this was when they announced Secret Wars. So I don't know if you guys remember, but basically what happened was Quantum Mania, Secret Invasion, all the Marvel fans flip their tables and fucking leave. And then Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty in a single goddamn year in 2025. And that was massive. It lifted everything up. It was a huge hyped thing. And I think part of why that's so important, and you just really got to understand like the Marvel formula, the Marvel fan base. If you think about phase 4 as we were on a high and we fell off, that's always going to hurt. There's no direction. There's no hope. That's always going to hurt. And so phase 4 felt really bad, especially towards the end of it. It felt so bad. But I'm telling you, phase 5 is worse. It just probably doesn't feel as bad because we had actual plan and we have actual good things coming. You, of course, do get some bangers like Deadpool and Wolverine's a banger. Guardians of the Galaxy's a banger. Loki's a banger. And, X-Men 97's a banger. And I definitely think we're going in a good direction. Daredevil right now is really, really killing it. So that feels great. But, man, I got to tell you, for me personally, and I just kind of wanted to mention this and see what you think, I really think phase 5 will go down as worse than phase 4. And the phases themselves are, at this moment in time, feel kind of arbitrary because the reality is even phase 5 is really like phase 4 mentality. And the problem with phase 5 is that so much came out of the phase 4 mentality that then was released in this arbitrarily different phase but it's really not different, is it? I mean, if you cut across the middle of this thing, minus Brave New World, which was greenlit way before these movies, maybe not Guardians, but way before these, this top row feels different, feels better. And then this bottom row feels goobly glob. So I don't know, man. Look, Marvel, as somebody that follows this stuff really, really closely, and obviously I'm super engaged in all the stuff that happens. I just have to say it's been fascinating to watch this studio over the past couple of years. And it feels like the current problem and really the task that Kevin Feige has right now is straddling a line between all of the stuff that he knows was greenlit and kind of idealized. They came up with these ideas when the studio had a bad mentality. So he's straddling the line between stuff like Brave New World and stuff like Fantastic Four. Thunderbolts is another really interesting example because it kind of straddles that line as well. But that's like what the studio is currently doing. And I mean, dude, you think about some of these projects coming out later this year, like Wonder Man, Ironheart. Like, bro, I have zero faith in those projects. Zero. And I'm not excited to see them. And it feels like just a continuation of this straddling, right? And I guess what we can hope for, for me personally, I still have faith and I still feel like it's going to be good because I feel like once we get out of this year, I feel like it's all new mentality stuff. I feel like we really will get into a new direction. And think about the projects we're supposed to see next year, right? Daredevil Born Again Season 2, X-Men 97 Season 2, freaking Doomsday, Spider-Man 4. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, are you kidding me? Those are fire. Like, that's all fire and no goobly glob, right? So it really feels like we're going to be going in a much better direction. But unfortunately, the reality is we're at the fourth weekend of Brave New World, and that thing ain't doing it. That thing ain't doing it. So there you go. Little update about Captain America Brave New World. Wanted to wax poetically a little bit about Phase 4 and Phase 5. My God, when does Phase 6 start? Because that'll be the one. That'll be the really good one. Okay, let's get into this next story here. Thunderbolts, baby! Thunderbolts, the next big Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And they are taking a much different strategy with the movie, but also with the marketing. So I wanted to bring this up because I think it's fascinating, okay? Check this out. This is just a comment made here by Florence Pugh. There's also other comments made, but check this out. It ended up becoming this quite badass indie A24 feeling assassin movie with Marvel superheroes. Florence Pugh laughs to Empire, reprising her role as Widow-trained assassin Yelena Belova, previously seen in Black Widow and Hawkeye. Schreier has form in that arena, given Beef was an actual A24 production. I actually didn't know that. There's a certain amount of that Beef tone in it that does feel different, he notes. There's an emotional darkness that we brought to this that is resonant, but doesn't come at the expense of the comedy. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Empire obviously doing their thing, promoting the movie, but it's wild that she said A24 feeling assassin movie with Marvel superheroes. Now, that comment made major waves on social media, but beyond that, check this out. I want to show you this. This right here is from the new Thunderbolts marketing. They did a trailer, which is literally called the Absolute Cinema trailer. Pretty interesting. They're being like very self-referential, meme-y. They're playing off of the Absolute Cinema meme with friggin' who's that grumpy old director that nobody cares about that used to not like Marvel? I forget his name. And these are shots from the actual new trailer, the Absolute Cinema trailer. And you can notice an A24 feeling to the trailer and the marketing, but check this out. So it says here, from the stars of Midsummer, A Different Man, and You Hurt My Feelings, writers and directors of Beef, cinematographers of The Green Knight, the editor of Minari, the composer of Everything Everywhere All at Once, Thunderbolts. These are all like the sort of vignetted screens from that new Absolute Cinema trailer. Okay. Pretty fascinating. because it's clearly going after that A24 vibe. So much so that the actual A24 social media account quote tweeted this with this thing. It says, wait, is this fucking play about us? And I got to tell you, this thing went crazy. 163,000 likes, almost 6.5 million views on social media. So everybody saw this thing. It's hilarious. People think it's really, really clever. But it has also brought even more attention to this A24 comparison. So at the end of the day, this is kind of like good. This is kind of like earned media for Marvel. All of those views, on their thing. And I guess for me, right? I got to ask, do you think this is going to be an effective marketing strategy? Because I really feel like this is Marvel, and maybe it's because they literally called the trailer the Absolute Cinema trailer. Maybe it's just because it's clearly like sort of an A24 thing and going after the vibes. I'm not really, I don't know exactly why I'm getting this feeling, but I'm getting this feeling that they have clearly new marketing people on this, or they have allowed somebody with fresh ideas to try to market this thing very differently. I mean, Marvel's like an institution, and they've been around for a long, long time. And you kind of market a lot of those movies very similarly. And, you kind of get that, oh, it's the next Marvel movie kind of a feeling. This movie specifically is kind of trying to counter program. And it seems like it wants the relevancy and maybe like a bunch of artsy fartsy kids that are very active on Twitter to appreciate it and quote tweet it and to, be this force of marketing for the film. I'm really interested in if this will work. It does kind of excite me as a big Marvel fan, but I think that's because we get a little fatigued of the regularly scheduled Marvel stuff. So Thunderbolts feels fresh, feels cool, feels like it has like a really stylistic approach. The action looks incredible and like really sharp. Like, so the whole thing looks like a really good project. And it does look a little different than your normal Marvel stuff. And for me, as somebody that gets fatigued of this stuff, that is exciting. And I actually am way more excited to check this movie out than I am Brave New World, or than I was for Brave New World. I'm really hyped up for Thunderbolts. Here's the question though. Does this marketing translate into actually getting the word out there properly with the normies and the mainstream audiences? Because A24 movies are like indie movies. They don't even really like make money. Like, not like crazy. Of course, they're, stylistically appreciated. They're artistically appreciated. And I do think like the fucking letterbox community and the letterbox mafia and like all of these, social influencers or whatever, they obviously care about A24, and it has a vibe and it makes imprints on social media. So is that what this is about? Is that what this is about? Are they trying to like get all the cool artsy fartsy Twitter accounts and the letterbox mafia to like appreciate and start to like Thunderbolts? I guess we're gonna see. We're gonna find out if that is a successful strategy. I love the new trailer. I think it's really sharp. I like the style. It makes me more excited. But I guess we're gonna find out because outside of this stylistic change, which part of this could be being done to really differentiate this thing from Brave New World. Like, it wants to kind of live and breathe on its own and be appreciated and not be connected to like, a thousand rounds of reshoots, fake ass numbers of what it needs to make and budget and all of that. Right. So it does kind of feel like an effort to shift away from that conversation to shift into something different. But at its core, Thunderbolts, as we just spoke about, has a lot of the same potential problems that Brave New World did. Frankly, Thunderbolts is a movie that I think if you had to ask Marvel right now, if you went into a meeting with Kevin Feige, Brad, Lewis, all these guys, I think if you honestly asked them, if you could get them to be very truthful, I think they would admit Thunderbolts is not a movie they would greenlight today. This is not a movie they would greenlight right now, today. And I do think the mentality is shifting a little bit into bigger franchises, more mass appeal things, I think if you went into like, your barbershop, or, you're just talking to coworkers or whatever, I think most people would be like, I have no idea what a Thunderbolts is. I don't really know what the team is. I don't really know what the movie is about. We even saw Hideo Kojima, his comments about Brave New World. He literally said he was confused after watching the Thunderbolts trailer, like which one's the Avengers or whatever. So I think outside of the marketing attempt, the movie is actually very similar to Brave New World. They both heavily lean on C and B characters. They both lean on Disney Plus content. They're not tried and true comic book franchise. I mean, the Thunderbolts have been fairly big at times in the comics, but not with this fucking crew. You know what I mean? Like, no. I mean, Thunderbolts has had Deadpool, Red Hulk, Flash Thompson, Venom. Like, dude, Thunderbolts has had a lot of crazy stuff, right? So Thunderbolts has packed in cool teams. This team is not it compared to those, right? So I'm going to be really interested. We'll probably start getting long form, or I think they call them long range box office predictions for Thunderbolts fairly soon. And ultimately, man, I think Marvel needs a win. Like, bro, if this movie doesn't even make $400 million, right? Like if Thunderbolts performs at the same level of Brave New World, my God, like I'm sorry, that's going to be a really concerning outcome. That's not great. So we gotta hope it performs better. And at the very least, even if the box office performs to that level, it has to perform better with fans, man. Like we got to get stronger word of mouth, stronger audience scores, man. I do not want to hear about the lowest cinema score in the history of the MCU. I don't want to hear about being in the top 5 lowest Rotten Tomato scores. I don't want to hear any of that shit, man. I really would like this movie to do well, but this is ultimately going to be an incredible litmus test for the Marvel brand, not the Avengers brand, not the X-Men brand, not the Fantastic Four brand, the Marvel brand. What does that mean to people these days? How are they going to be able to motivate people to get into the theaters? And is this A24 comparison and this A24 marketing? Because I'm sorry, there's no fucking way. Florence Pugh just randomly says that. Then you have a trailer that's so on point to A24 that A24 themselves is retweeting about it. Like, nah, this is a marketing decision that somebody made. It is media training for their actors and actresses. This is the vibe of the film. That's how they're selling it to us. An A24 assassin movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm sold. We're going to find out if other people are sold as well. And I am very curious as to how you feel about this. Is this a great strategy? Is it a bad strategy? Will it work? Super curious as to what you think about that. We'll get into that when we get into the Q and the A. We have a couple more stories today. Let's talk about this one. This one's a pretty big deal. If you're a big old Star Wars fan there. Star Wars fans, where you at? Star Wars fans, throw one into the chat. Star Wars fans, are you ready for some good news? Audio seems funky today. It very well might be funky today. I will look into it and try to tweak it. But yeah, we're doing all sorts of new stuff today. So we'll see how it all goes. Check this out. Daisy Ridley confirms Kathleen Kennedy will be very involved in her new Jedi Order film. You love to see it. You love to see it. Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, let's read this article. Kathleen Kennedy has been at the helm of Lucasfilm for 13 agonizing years, leading the company through a period of significant growth and challenges, particularly with the Star Wars franchise. Recent rumors about Kathleen Kennedy leaving Lucasfilm have sparked confusion, but Daisy Ridley has set the record straight about the studio president's involvement in her next Star Wars project. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. Daisy Ridley set the record straight. Speaking at the South by Southwest premiere of her film, We Bury the Dead, Ridley shared her thoughts, saying Kennedy remains a key part of the upcoming movie. Reports about Kennedy's future have been mixed. One source, Puck's Matt Belloni, claimed she stepped down as Lucasfilm president by the end of 2025. However, Deadline later published Kennedy's response, where she said, I am not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I'll die making movies. They left that part off. She also mentioned that talks about who might take over the role are underway, with more news expected in the coming months or possibly a year. When asked how much Kennedy is contributing to the new Star Wars film with Charmin Obaid Chinoy, Ridley was clear. I believe that she's very involved, she said. I think there was a reporting that was not true. So, yeah, very involved. Her words suggest Kennedy is still deeply tied to the project despite the rumors. The film, part of the New Jedi Order storyline, has faced delays, and Ridley admitted she's unsure about when the production will start. I don't know, she said when asked about the filming timeline. Kennedy's own statements add some clarity to the situation. While she plans to keep making movies as a producer, she hinted at stepping away from her current job as a Lucasfilm president. She said that a succession plan is being developed, meaning a change in leadership could happen eventually. Even so, stepping down as president wouldn't end her work on Star Wars. She could still produce Ridley's film and other projects, like the one being developed by Sean Levy that also has Rey in it. Ridley's comments shut down some of the speculation confirming Kennedy's active role for now. Whether Kennedy stays as president or shifts is unclear. Okay, so TLDR for you. Daisy Ridley out at a film festival for some zombie movie that she's making. She's asked about the Kathleen Kennedy stuff and basically says, yeah, I think that's not true. She's very involved. And yeah, she's going to be very, very involved. Okay. So, couple of things there. Couple of things there, chat. This matches up with the reporting that we've been talking about too. Jeff Snyder obviously had a lot of stuff regarding this whole situation. I think he was pretty much proven exactly correct by even the article in the interview that Deadline ran, and the day I went on Nerd Theory, which I think was like 2 weeks ago now. Wow, what a week that was. Thinking she was gone, being so excited that she was gone, and not only is she not gone, but she's gonna remain on as a producer. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is because Star Wars is totally fucking cooked, man. There's just no way around it. While all of this is going on and all of the discussions in the fandom about, the potential future of a new president and all these sort of things, the reality is that not only is Kathleen Kennedy not going to step away anytime soon, but, let's just be real about something. The future of Star Wars, and when I mean the future, I mean we haven't had a movie in 6 years, maybe 5 years, and they want to make movies, and they're going to keep making Star Wars movies. And the majority of the Star Wars movies that are going to be made in the next 3 to 4 years will be Rey movies. Not only will they be Rey movies, they will be movies produced by Kathleen Kennedy. So understand that this is not a new era. Star Wars does not have a bright future. And in fact, quite the opposite. Star Wars is cooked. The future of Star Wars is Daisy Ridley's Rey and Kathleen Kennedy. Like, that's what it is. Okay. So you might be like, okay, but what about the Jon Favreau, Mando and Grogu? Sure. Mando and Grogu is something separate from Rey movies. It seems to actually be a thing and that it's actually going to happen and come out in theaters. But I'm unclear about how excited I should actually be with regards to that movie. And that movie apparently then will lead into the 4th season of that show and the 2nd season of Ahsoka, and then potentially Dave's movie. Okay. All of that stuff seems cool. I like the Filoni-verse, but let's be real. The Filoni-verse has had a lot of misses, and frankly, it's not really going the way that we thought it would years ago, right? Book of Boba Fett, no Rangers of the Republic, Skeleton Crew's apparently connected to it. Are they going to add that into the movie for the 12 people that watch that show? Like, it seems absurd, right? So, like, it's just not going well even over there. When it comes to the Mangold movie, the reports are James Mangold would much rather make his Swamp Thing movie, and he's currently making a decision on if he's actually going to do a Star Wars movie. That's what we are hearing from Jeff Snyder behind the scenes right now. He's actually deciding whether or not he even wants to make the movie, right? And could he make the movie? Sure. But I got to be real, man. The team that brought us the last Indiana Jones movie, the director was James Mangold, the producer was Kathleen Kennedy. Do we really trust that team to get together again and do a movie at the beginning of the Star Wars timeline? And the guy literally just said a week ago he doesn't care about canon. He wants to go back to 25,000 years before the movies because he doesn't want to think about canon. So he wants to go retcon the whole canon, but he doesn't care about canon. Like, dude, I'm just saying, red flag, red flag, red flag. Not that excited about it. The reality is they have the Charmin Obechimoy movie. That's Rey. They've got Sean Levy's movie. That's Rey. They've got a Simon Kinberg trilogy. That's Rey. That's 5 Rey movies, dude. 5 Rey movies that they're actually working on right now that they think is so important that we got articles in the Hollywood trades saying that the most valuable asset that studio has is not the lightsaber, it's not the Force, it's not the Jedi, it's Daisy Ridley. So it's just kind of unbelievable that is what is happening with Star Wars. But as far as I know, that is the reality of the situation. So basically, guys, it's completely cooked. If you are a Star Wars fan and you do not like Daisy Ridley and you do not like the current direction of Kathleen Kennedy, then buckle up because you have multiple more years of that. That is what is happening. And so, frankly, me, I'm trying to get away from Star Wars as much as possible. I'm not really about that life, and I don't want to cover it or really talk about it much anymore. I will still try to keep you up to date on what's going on, and I do think there will be trailers at Celebration, and I think we'll probably get a decent look at what's happening at Celebration. Maybe they'll announce some of these movies, etc., etc. But yeah, there's not a ton of good news out there, guys. When it comes to Star Wars. Wonder what you think about that. We'll get into that in the Q&A section of the video. The main story, though, Daisy Ridley coming out to clarify that don't you worry, Kathleen Kennedy is sticking around. She's going to help Daisy Ridley with all of her upcoming movies. Fantastic stuff. Okay, briefly now, I want to talk about Invincible. Okay, I'll talk about Invincible, and then we'll get into the Q&A section of today's show. So, let's talk about Invincible, man. Invincible Season 3 has done something pretty incredible, and that is that it charted on Nielsen. Okay, so last week on Nielsen, it charted in at number 8 on the originals chart, and I believe this would have been the early couple of episodes, might have even been the premiere. That fact I actually should have looked up better. I don't know if it was that week or not. It's not the most current stuff, though, because Nielsen is a little bit behind. But either way you slice it, that is a big freaking deal. So it charted on number 8 on the original charts. Didn't show up on the overall chart, but number 8 on the originals with 419 million minutes watched. Okay? Now, let's talk about the good, and then we'll talk about the bad. The good is this is a huge deal. That's a headline. If I were Invincible, the social media account, I'd be talking about this, sharing this out. This has never happened with a, well, actually, I do think a Disney animated show charted one time. I think it was What If Season 3. But this really doesn't happen for a lot of animated shows, and this is huge. So the first mature animated series to chart on Nielsen since basically like the streaming stuff really took over. Massive freaking deal. Now, 419 million minutes watched is actually not that great. Like it is and it isn't. Like it's not that great, but it's also around the numbers that like the new Dune show was getting, right? And to the people on HBO Max or whatever Max, they liked that. They were like, yeah, those are good numbers. We're going to do more of this, right? So depends on how you look at it. It's about half of what Ahsoka was doing when it was charting and doing well, right? So, it's a weird mixed bag because on the one hand, it's like, sure, it charted and that's great. On the other hand, it's like, those really aren't that impressive of numbers. Now, one of the reasons that this thing did chart is because it's now in its 3rd season, and you're starting to see that compounding effect because people right now are watching Invincible, but a lot of people are going back to watch Invincible Season 1 and Season 2 and catch up. They're either binging or catching up. And so you have a lot more of this stuff kind of created. So what I'm hopeful for is that this pushes the studios with their animated stuff to go in the direction of having more seasons. I mean, frankly, even a show like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man didn't chart, didn't do anything this season. Maybe in Season 2 or in Season 3, because I believe that show is going to 3 seasons. Maybe by the time we get to Season 2 or 3, it does chart because there will be so many people catching up. It's a good show, by the way. Like, I actually really like the Spider-Man show. So that's kind of fascinating. I would imagine when X-Men 97 hits its second season, that too will chart. Maybe it has to wait for season 3. And obviously, look, hopefully season 2 is really good because they're going away from Bo's stuff. But regardless, this is now the benchmark for these animated series and the mature animated comic book content. And I think it's great. I think it sort of paves a path forward for these different shows. If I were Invincible, I'd be feeling really good about this. Look, personally, for me, I still have a lot of issues with the animation in Invincible, but you cannot mistake how popular this is. It made me go look at what some of the breakdown videos of Invincible are doing. And for instance, like I saw some of the numbers Paul's getting off of some of his breakdowns. I was like, holy shit, those are great numbers. So obviously, there's a lot of people watching Invincible, really enjoying Invincible. That is great because Invincible's good, but it's also good for the genre. Like if Marvel just keeps missing and kind of like offering mid and meandering stuff, it's just gonna fatigue everybody of like the genre overall. So anytime you get a show that comes up, breathes something fresh, some new life, and has any semblance of success, very good thing for nerds, very good thing for the overall genre. If you've not checked out Invincible, man, highly recommend it. I think season 3 is like iffy, better than season 2. And dude, the Invincible War episode that just happened, incredible, dude, absolutely incredible. I would imagine that episode and maybe the new episodes coming out this week with Conquest. I would imagine these two are probably going to chart pretty high. I wonder if it'll even get into the overall chart. That would be fantastic. Like that would be a crazy big W. Last comic book show to do that, I think, was Loki season 2. Hit into the overall, it's pretty wild. So yeah, this is a huge W for Invincible. If you're an Invincible fan, feel good about this. Spread the word, man. This is social proof, right? So if anybody ever asks you or you're ever in a conversation with somebody and they're like, I don't know, like Invincible, you can be like, look, dude, this thing is the first animated superhero show that's mature to chart on Nielsen. Like it's doing things and people might not even know what that means, but it sounds pretty cool. And I think it would actually get people interested to check it out. So big W for Invincible. Big W for nerds all around the world. And I think now it's that time, chat. I think we should get in to the Q and A. So let's get into the Q&A. And I hope, let me see if I can pull this up. I wish there was a way. Oh, there is a way to get over here and see all the super chats. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. This is gonna be cool. Okay. So this is the whole reason we made these changes so that this section of the stream and of the podcast can be a lot more entertaining. So I'll actually be able to pull up the exact chats here. You guys will be able to see them and then we can discuss them. That'll be really cool. Appreciate all the support that everybody's giving. I do want to say if you've been listening on the podcast feed, we've had a pretty chill show so far. It's nice and chill, nice and good. But this is the part of the show where I open myself up to the live chat of people here watching live, and that is chaos. So I apologize if I get super triggered and crash out. Hope you've had a good time on the show so far because it's probably about to go downhill. All right, first in today, Joshua Kemble Bluegrass says, "Who wants to bet Josh starts late? Freaking daylight saving, dude. Daylight savings is pretty wild, huh? But I was on time today, huh? I'm pretty sure I was on time. Look at all you guys thought I was going to be late. I wasn't late, was I?" Javier Mendez says, "Josh, I bet he will be late. Guess who wasn't late?" And then Javier Mendez comes in with the 10 spot. Really appreciate it, brother. Thank you. No message, though. C Dub says, "First day of my new promotion at work. Let's fucking go." Hey, dude, good for you. That's awesome, man. Hope the new promotion's going well. Hope you got a big office or something. I don't really know what that whole entails, but good for you, brother. Benjamin with a weird face thingy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, bud. Jacob Stowe says, "Josh is late, and I missed a couple of streams, but it doesn't matter because the Russos are back, and they're gonna save Marvel. Hey now, the Russos back." Hell yeah, man. Appreciate the support. I'll be real with you guys. Okay. I totally ignored all the news about Electric State on Friday. Right as the Rotten Tomato scores started coming out, I ended the stream. Okay. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to talk about it. And I don't think it means nothing. Okay? Maybe the Russos and Marvel Studios, maybe they need each other. Okay? Maybe it's just the case that they're really good together. And maybe it doesn't matter. That electric state seems like it was pretty much booty cheeks. Joshua says Phase 5 may be bad, but it did give us Deadpool and Wolverine. That's true, but come on, man. Do you guys see the point I was making about that? Because I didn't get to look at chat too much. Did you guys see what I'm saying about Phase 4 and 5, or do you think I'm crazy? Do you guys agree? Or am I crazy? Phase 6 saved? Oh, maybe. Next episode is going to be so hard. What, the Invincible episode? Look at this. This is a Twitch message I was able to pull up here. You see that, Twitch? You see the love you're getting? Better appreciate it. Why is your name on screen? Are we confused by who you are? Why is your name on screen? Adam? And by the way, Adam, you're the one that's supposed to be figuring all this shit out for me. Aren't you supposed to be my producer? Didn't you lose a bet and you're supposed to work for free for a whole year as my producer? What the fuck am I doing up here? Why am I trying to mess with this? Did you figure out how to put the LUT in here yet? Adam! Adam! Look at Josh recognizing us. See? There you go. There you go, bud. Okay, let's keep going here, though. Let's see here. Ash Chase says, "What up, Josh from Australia, mate? Appreciate you, Ash." And then Ash says, "A lot of rain flooding here at the moment, but I am safe where I am." That's good. I'm glad you're safe. I'm also sorry about the flooding. That sounds pretty crazy. I just thought you guys were usually dealing with like biblical size insects and animals that all want to kill you. The rain, I mean, wouldn't that be kind of like a nice change of pace? A Par says, with phases progressing, which characters do you see 86 when Doomsday shows up? I don't see a lot of new characters having any impact on the future. Yeah, probably, man. And then it's more like, what direction does the focus go in? Right? Because if we got this new X-Men cast and like that's really where the focus is, do we really need Anthony Mackie, Captain America stuff? I don't know. Maybe not, you know? But I would say like Gaia, nope, forget about it. Dude, I would honestly say Champions Young Avengers. I know Marvel's like so obsessed with that. And nope, scrap it. Get it all out of here. You know what else, dude? I gotta tell you, man. I feel kind of bad saying this. But you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I feel kind of bad saying this, but I'm just gonna say it. I'm sick of Miss Marvel, dude. I'm sick of Miss Marvel. And you might be like, "What? No, I love Iman. What are you talking about? She's great. She's so cool. She knows Marvel really well." Totally. Here's the thing, though. Kevin Feige's fucking obsessed with Miss Marvel. He's taking it way too far. Turned her into a mutant in the comics, killed her in a Spider-Man book. I don't want Miss Marvel. I don't want Miss Marvel anywhere near the X-Men. Get her the fuck away from the mutants and the X-Men. It's ridiculous. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Get Miss Marvel out of my face. Or just do Miss Marvel shit. Get her away from the mutants. No. And I hate to say that because I actually like the actress. I do think she's cool. But this was one of those things that like Feige got wrong, dude. Feige got wrong, and he's been doubling down on it. It's crazy. I'm glad everybody agrees. I see it all in chat. Everybody agrees. Rossi says, video looks better to me. Good morning, sir. Oh, that's great. And good morning to you, brother. I'm glad it looks great. Look, these are growing pains. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to stick with this setup or not. I do like this part of it a little bit better. The ability to pull the chats up is cool. I will have to see what it all looks like when we look at the recording and the audio later. So we'll see. Could be cool. Taryn Washington. Oh, appreciate it. $20 holla says, Josh, I get it, but most normal people loved Cap. Dude, what evidence do you have for that? The issue is Mackie isn't an A-lister. He's a mid B-list best, and younger audiences don't know who Harrison Ford is. They should have gotten the Top Gun writers. Brother, I understand what you're saying. You have this really interesting diagnosis of the problem. But I got to tell you, man, I don't think most normal people loved Cap because, frankly, I don't think most normal people went to see it. Out of the people that did see it, sure, about half of them like it, but I have not seen many people loving it, dude. Like this love word that you used, I have not seen many people love the movie. I have seen some. There's some in the community. There's some people on Twitter or whatever, but most people are like, it's not that bad, brother. That's not love. Let me do me a favor. Next time your wife or your girlfriend has an anniversary or a birthday or something, okay? Go get a note. Go get some flowers, and I want you to write on the note, "You're not that bad," and then give it to your wife. Do you think she's gonna feel loved? Do you think she would tell her friends, "Hey, my husband really loves me because he said not that bad." I don't think so, bud. I appreciate the $20 holla, and I appreciate that you liked the movie, and I agree with you that there are many things they could have done to make it better. At the end of the day, brother, I don't think most normal people loved it. I'm sorry. Please, Phase 4 gave us Eternals, which is the worst MCU project. You know what's funny about that? I actually don't mind Eternals as much as a lot of other people do. I just see how silly it was. Like, at the end of the day, I actually think a lot of that movie is fine. The first third's really cool. Chloe Zhao knows what she's doing. The Marvel action is great. There's a lot of stuff that's in there that's decent. You know what the Eternals is? It's just a bad idea. Like, somebody should have just said, "Okay, wait a minute, Kevin. So you're gonna take a completely unknown Jack Kirby property, and you're gonna give it to this independent filmmaker that doesn't even wanna use the colorful aesthetic that Marvel has?" I think that's a bad idea. Put her on something different. Like, why did Chloe Zhao have to be the Eternal director? Doesn't make any sense. If anything, Taika should have been that director and not done Love and Thunder. Like, I just feel like it was a bad idea. A lot of Marvel's problems lately are idea problems, and we can tell because they keep spending money to fix them, and they don't work. Like, Daredevil Born Again feels like it worked. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but it's obviously much better. It's a pretty good show. I think people are digging it. But, dude, the Marvels, Brave New World, these are movies they spent a bajillion dollars trying to fix. Sometimes you can polish a turd as much as you want, and it's still going to stink. I think some of these ideas are just terrible fucking ideas. And back in the day, Marvel Studios was like, we made Guardians of the Galaxy as $1 billion franchise. We can do anything. I don't know. I don't know. Space Tricks Serial TM says Star Wars will stay alive through fan films like the 212. Disney obviously can't do anything with the IP, but the fans can on YouTube through AI. Yeah, no, I think there's some truth in what you are saying, but my question would be like, at what point do the fans stop doing that? Because what, like, I'm at a point personally, and I know maybe I'm more gone than some of you in Star Wars, but like, bro, why would I spend time and energy like making a fan film of Star Wars? Like, I hate Star Wars so much. Star Wars has scorned me so badly that, like, why would I do that? Why would I spend my time doing that? I would literally rather run away from Star Wars. I'd rather do like Warhammer stuff or Marvel stuff, anything. Like, I do not dude, like, I hear what you're saying, JJ Lamont, but I think the problem with that is the idea of Star Wars has been hurt and made so much less significant that the amount of people that are still passionate enough about it to make fan projects is just so diminished from what it was. You know, in my opinion, like, dude, no, don't care. Just straight up, don't care. Kalen J says, I really believe Thunderbolts will be a banger. This is my most anticipated project of the year. I tend to agree. Appreciate the love, man. I tend to agree. I think they're cooking with Thunderbolts. I think it's got really good talent, really good vibe, really good creative team. But I also think the Sentry and what they can do with him is a really intriguing idea. And that's going to be very much like the fuel of the whole thing, the tension that builds the whole thing. I think it's going to be cool. Appreciate the love. Wraith X7 with a 5 spot says the MCU version of the Thunderbolts is a Suicide Squad ripoff, and I think that might hurt this film in the box office. That's fair. That's fair. There's a lot of that kind of stuff out there. Suicide Squad, The Boys, right? Like, because it's a lot like The Boys too. In some ways, it's a little bit like Invincible. So that could be right. You could be right. The Suicide Squad thing could hurt the box office, like fatigue in the feeling. Maybe not even just overall comic book fatigue, but just like that kind of comic book. We'll see. Daredevil season 2 Born Again. Again. 100%. 100%. Roy Edwards says the Thunderbolts has all the workings to be my favorite MCU movie other than Endgame and Infinity War. Brother, I actually agree with you, and we'll see how it hits us, but I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that this will be the best experience I've had at a Marvel movie in 2+ years. My second viewing of Deadpool and Wolverine was great. My first viewing was not that great because I actually had a lot of problems with that movie. You know? So even Deadpool and Wolverine, which was like the big smash hit, and we all celebrated it. It wasn't until my second viewing and I was with my buddy and we were in a good crowd and everything. Like I had a good time watching the movie then, but I did not have that same experience of like the really good Marvel movies in the theaters with that film. When's the last time I had that feeling? I don't know, maybe Multiverse of Madness. I know some of you guys don't like Multiverse of Madness, but to me, like that was high. Obviously, No Way Home was great. I feel like I'm gonna be taken back to Winter Soldier and to Civil War type vibes, where like I don't need the movie to be the biggest thing ever, like the next Avengers thing, but I'm expecting it to just be really clean, really good, and to sit there for like 2 hours, 2+ hours, and just have a blast. And I really think that's what's gonna happen with Thunderbolts. The only question is like, is that gonna carry over to the normies? Are they gonna show up for it? And I guess we'll see. I don't like sand, says. I've seen multiple pods reporting Disney has been secretly trying to sell Star Wars for the past 7 months, and they've gotten zero offers slash interest. It's dead. Yeah, so I looked into this a little bit. It's one of those stories where, like, I'm not saying it's bullshit, but what I am saying is it's one of those stories that, by its very nature, could never be truly proven correct or incorrect. Because the claim is, and I saw Chris Gore talk about this, right? Which, by the way, I like Chris Gore. You know what I mean? I think he's a cool dude. I think he's actually like really sharp, and I think he understands a lot of what has happened in media because he's had a front row seat to it for a long time. But like what Chris Gore said was basically nobody at Lucasfilm knew about this, and it was a very small group of people at Disney that were potentially taking offers from other really secret groups at companies. Well, like, bro, how do you prove that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you prove or disprove that? We also don't even know what that deal is. Is it a full sale? Is it asset sharing? Is it distribution? Like, look, I don't need a story about how Star Wars can't get bought to realize how bad it is. I've got Daisy Ridley coming out and saying stuff out of her mouth hole about Kathleen Kennedy. You feel me? Noah says T-Bolts takes place in New York inside the Avengers Tower, and for all intents and purposes, they are the current Avengers. Sam's Cap needs to show up. Much love. I mean, you're not wrong, dude. That's kind of a good point. Who's more the Avengers? I guess who you know what I would say? If I was Kevin Feige, you know what I would say? I would literally come out and be like, if Thunderbolts makes more money than Brave New World, they're the Avengers. Fuck Sam. Like, reminds me a little bit of when they did that thing back in the day to see if the Joker would kill Jason Todd. They had like a hotline and you could call in and vote. And apparently somebody gamed the system and messed it all up and they killed Jason Todd. But like the point is, like, wouldn't that be kind of fun? Taryn Washington says, what Marvel needs to do is cast Logan Paul, Drewski, and other social stars in supporting C tier roles. Imagine Logan Paul as the new Falcon. Fuck Logan Paul, dude. Dude, no. 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 I don't want to see any of that shit, dude. Hell no. Keep Logan Paul away from Marvel. And I like Drewski, but also like, if you've been paying attention to the fucking internet this morning, Drewski's got some shit going on. So he's got to go handle his own business. But hell no, bro. We don't need no social media stars. I don't like any social media stars, and I'm kind of one of them. And I don't even like that. I don't like me. John Bo says, would you rather watch the prequels or the OT in one sitting? I'll never watch Star Wars again. Fucking hate it. Dazuko says, only thing that has me excited right now is seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters for the first time, like seeing the 200. Nope, don't care. Noah says, also kind of weird. They're not even promoting Taskmaster as a Thunderbolt in the new trailer. Wonder if she'll play a secret role / rumor. It is called Avengers, not available. That's what it said in the trailer. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they're not promoting Taskmaster because they realized everybody hates her. They're killing her off very early. And I guess Daniel RPK has said that she had like a really great art. And he's really sad that they cut her. He's the only one that cares. Fuck that character. Destroy her as fast as possible, frankly. And I think they did. I think that's what they're gonna do. Joshua Kimmel Bluegrass says you were 2 minutes late. Pay up. What? Russo's non-MCU mid, Russo's MCU top tier. One of God's greatest mysteries that can't be explained. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people speculate about it, try to diagnose it. Certain people just work good within systems, and Marvel, by the way, like one of the things that I think, oh man, let me just say, oh, let me put it this way. Let's talk about the things that the Russos have when they work at Marvel, as opposed to when they do not. Well, let's talk about what they have when they don't. What do they have access to without Marvel? Obviously, big stars. They actually use a lot of the Marvel stars. Gray Man was Steve Rogers. Chris Pratt is in the Electric State. So they have the literal Marvel actors. They have a ton of money. I mean, they just got $320 million. That's probably even more than their fucking Secret Wars budget, right? So they just spent. They have all the money. They've got the actors. They have their own talent, right? Writer, director. What don't they have? Well, they don't have the Marvel characters, which I mean, think about the career of the Marvel actors outside of their Marvel characters. Some of them have been able to have decent careers. I think fascinating thing about Thunderbolts is Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan have both actually done pretty well outside of Marvel. Not money wise, but like critically. So they're doing all right. Most of those actors, though, Chris Evans, no. Chris Hemsworth, no. Extraction 2 was cool, but like, no. So, what do the Russos have when they work with Marvel? They have the Marvel characters, which are bigger than anything. They have Parliament, the Marvel Brain Trust. They have scenes and concepts that are created before they came on board, things that are mandated by the studio. So there's a bunch of stuff that they have to use, a bunch of awesome stuff that they can use, and they have a brain trust of people that's going to figure out how certain things move together. The most important thing that they have when they work at Marvel, and they don't when they don't, is Kevin Feige and the people that give notes on the screenings. Obviously, the Marvel formula, and I think the real success of Marvel back in the day was their ability to watch the thing and make it better. So James Gunn has talked about this. They can take something bad, make it decent. They can take something decent, make it good. They can take something good, make it great. And that's part of their formula. That's why they were so successful at first. So all of those things together seem to work really well. And even Marvel Studios, outside of working with the Russos, has had a lot of problems, dude. A lot of problems. So it might just be the case that like getting the band back together is best for everybody. So 100%, I think that's the way to do it. Hey, Alexander, thanks for becoming a member. You are a Nerd Avenger now. Appreciate you, bud. Shockwave Lab says, I wish they used Spawn in the Invincible War episode, but they had to use Wolfman instead because Todd McFarlane being protective of his character. Yeah, it's similar to the Spider-Man thing. Yeah, it's just different. License is different and all that. So I don't know. I saw some people upset about it, but either way, I still think that's like one of the strongest episodes they've ever made. So it's hard for me to get upset about no Spawn because, dude, that episode's great. And also, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, just one. Usually I do too. Let's see here. The boss man says Marvel needs less comedy in their movies. They force corny jokes way too often. They're comedies with some action now. Yeah, there could be some truth to that. And I also think that like some of this is just like a tonal thing that happens over time. So you look back at the first Iron Man, I rewatched that 15-year interview. It was like 15 years after Iron Man. It was an interview with Kevin Feige and John Favreau. And they talked about how in a lot of the sequences, the way they were thinking about this was we're either going to go for a laugh or a cheer at the end of a lot of these sequences. And I do think there's something to that because, like, a really great example I can use is in the first Aquaman movie. There's a moment where Aquaman leaves his mom and Mira, and they're just there, and he has to like go in and fight this other creature in like a different area. Now, in the Warner Brothers Aquaman 2 movie or Aquaman 1, you just have them standing next to each other staring. And it's just such a stale, weird part of the movie because they're just there. He's gone. He comes back. They're just there again. It's like weird. The Marvel version of that would be Aquaman goes into the thing, and then those two characters that are just standing there actually have like a weird, quirky conversation. And maybe it's just like a bit, maybe it's played for a laugh or whatever. But they at least like use it and try to have it be entertaining and go for like a laugh or a cheer. Um, and I do think some of that has become formulaic. Some of it you can see coming a mile away. Art in cinema is so weird because some stuff can be done so earnestly and with all the right intentions, and then it just doesn't land. And then sometimes you kind of find something in a movie, and it can be really authentic and really good. So I don't know. I mean, I think Marvel at the end of the day, the some of the struggles they have is that this is big commercial art, big budgets, mass appeal, a lot of people. Their job is to try to like crank this stuff out in a way that keeps it on somewhat of an assembly line because it's all kind of working together, and it has to work. Like the audiences have to enjoy it. That system has broke down a lot over the past couple of years, and sometimes it gets to work, sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, man, I understand what you're saying about the comedy, and Marvel has changed that a little bit. Like for instance, I don't see a lot of humor in Daredevil Born Again. That seems pretty dire. Um, they need to find the new version of Marvel. Like what they need to be able to make it work still and have it be entertaining and have laughs and cheers without it feeling so forced and feeling so predictable. Ultimately. Bro, just because current Star Wars sucks doesn't mean we should hate the great stuff that came before it. No, it literally does mean that, and you should hate all the. No, of course I don't hate the George Lucas stuff. I love the George Lucas stuff. But what I'm trying to express to you is like I'm so jaded on Star Wars that I don't want to watch Star Wars. Any kind of Star Wars. Like I am personally at a place, and I'm just trying to be honest. I'm at a place where like I don't want to go watch Revenge of the Sith in the theaters. And I know, like for some of you guys, that's crazy. You're like, what are you talking about? Like, dude, it's Revenge of the Sith. I fucking love it. If I was a little bit more satisfied with Star Wars, maybe I would. Like, what am I gonna do? Go watch this great movie and then come back to the real world with this major corporation and this crusty ass hoe fucked it all up for 13 years? Like, come on, man. Like, is that really is that really worth it? No. I'd rather play Warhammer. I'd rather read a Warhammer book. I'd rather engage in a property that's actually dope that Hollywood hasn't ruined yet. Javier Mendez with the 10 spot says, I noticed they used some elements from Frank Miller's Born Again in season 3 of Daredevil. They did indeed. They did indeed. And it's kind of interesting how that was in a different season and now it's called Born Again, but doesn't have some of that stuff. Wild. Wild. Am I? Oh, did I click the wrong stuff? Okay, yeah, here we go. Chase Floyd says, I saw your cameo in Theory's newest vlog. I was thinking you and Gun's kids, who would it look like more? Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. Taryn Washington says, after Secret Wars, I hope Marvel goes away for 5 years. No. Let's get this next phase writing right and let the fans miss you. Um, I understand what you're saying. I do think like here's what I would say. I do think you want them to miss you a little bit, and I do think this year is insane. 9 projects this year? Oh, no. Like, that's terrible. Next year seems a lot more tame, and I do think it's gonna be pretty fire. And after Secret Wars, we're rolling right into the Mutant Saga. So, it's actually gonna be the opposite, where they're not gonna have any break. You're gonna go right into the Mutant Saga, which I actually think is a good move. Um, what I would say is you need to restrict the amount of stuff, like maybe 1, maybe 2 shows a year. I would say like 2 movies, maybe 3. Don't go more than that. And like just chill, and pick big popular things. That's what I would do. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Some people probably agree. Josh, what has you so hyped about RDJ coming back as Doom in Doomsday and Secret Wars? As I do watch those videos. So it's a couple of things. I mean, I think first of all, I think Robert Downey Jr. is an incredible actor. I think he's wildly talented, and I do think he's going to deliver a crazy performance. I also just have this feeling. I think it's really anchored in the feeling that there's something more to it. So I don't know. Some of you guys think, and there are some simple solutions to this, right? Like maybe it's just a Stark variant. That's probably the most simple solution. I don't think that's what it is. That is a simple solution. I don't think that's what it is. Some people are like, "Oh, maybe he just randomly looks like Stark." Yeah, simple solution. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's something deep. I think they found a really interesting story and a really interesting way to like kind of retcon and recontextualize this conversation around Tony Stark and Doctor Doom. So maybe I'm wrong, but that's why I'm excited because I anticipate it actually being really good. And I probably would have been really excited regardless of who played Doom. Um, truly, because I really do like Doctor Doom. But this Stark thing where I think some people actually like don't like it as much or they found a reason to be like upset about it or whatnot. I'm actually the opposite. I'm like, dude, no, there's something there. There's something there cooking, and I can see how cool that could be. So, um, yeah, we'll see. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. Look, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be honest. And let's be real. I mean, how much do I even cover Star Wars? Guys, like, I'll probably cover Ahsoka season 2 because I like it. I'm not even gonna watch Andor. I am literally not even going to watch it. Like, dude, it was a good week a couple of weeks ago when we thought she was gonna be gone. It was so nice to reconnect with Theory, to be part of the show, to check out the Nerd Theory fam, to meet Dash and Wave. All awesome. Had a great week. But I left that week feeling like they are completely cooked. There was like next to zero hope. I can't get excited for this stuff. I can't get excited for the future of Star Wars until information comes out that feels like, oh, I actually there is reason to be excited and all of that. Like I just have to be honest. Like this is where I'm at, guys. You know? So the grim darkness is more hopeful than Star Wars? Exactly. Exactly. No, I mean that's like 100% right because look, when I experience Warhammer stuff, whether it's reading the books, playing the games, actually like messing with my model or army or whatever, it feels consistent. It feels like the people that make it care about it, you know? Like I really feel like especially if Cavill and Games Workshop can really have the creative control for the Warhammer thing, it feels like a direct anecdote to what Star Wars became, which was literally like executives and their ideas for what a brand is clashing with what the pre-established audience considered the brand to be. That's ultimately what happened with Star Wars. And I have much more hope, not necessarily in the actual content. Like, it's not like I think the next Warhammer thing I read or watch is going to be like, oh, dude, there's hope for the Imperium. No, like they're all fucked. but I have more hope for how it's going to be treated and how I, as a fan, will take enjoyment from it. Absolutely. Way more hope for that than for Star Wars. Zach says, Happy Monday. I can't wait to see all the doubters realize that Downey will be amazing as Doom. I gotta watch after work, but take my money. Hey, I appreciate it. You know what's one thing that's also cool about this is I get to see y'all's pictures way bigger than normal. When I watching it, when I look at the chats on the other way we would do this, your stuff's like very small. So I can actually see what you look like now, Zach. That's cool. Looking good, bud. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for gifting a membership as well. Thank you. The future of Star Wars is cooked, but I still love the OGs. Yeah, that's fine. I love the OGs too. But do you understand that, like, I don't actually want to go watch Star Wars. Like, um, yeah. Like, look, when Ahsoka was coming out, I was so excited about it that I was reading Legends books again. Like, I was reading Legends books of, like, Abeloth and Ben Skywalker and all that, right? So, one of the things that's really cool about these franchises is if you have a good ass time, man, if you have a good experience, you wanna do more. Like, after Deadpool and Wolverine, I was watching other Marvel movies. I was, getting excited to play, Marvel games, getting Marvel figures, you know? Like, when you have a good experience with a brand, it makes you wanna do more of that. But the opposite is true as well. The more you have bad experiences with a brand, the more you don't even care. You don't wanna experience any of it. It doesn't matter. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with you guys. I understand where you're coming from, though. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Josh, thoughts on what RDJ said at South by Southwest stage with Feige this weekend, his Iron Man career, and little hint he wouldn't discuss Doom just yet. Yeah, so I didn't see the full comments that were made, but the way I understood it was he was like sort of saying what a big deal the role of Iron Man was to him. He also kind of implied that he was done being Iron Man, but that Disneyland needs more him as Iron Man. And he kind of like said, I'll talk about Doom later. So the way I view this, there's one of two things going on here. Either Disney is setting something up that's actually going to become like Doctor Doom shit, or they're going to have Secret Wars and this Doom twist and all this craziness happening in such a way that we ultimately still land on him being Tony, and he was Tony, and Tony's a big part of everything. Because it feels weird that Disney would do a Stark ride and some Stark stuff at Disneyland, and then seemingly do this massive retcon to say that he was never actually Tony Stark. But the thing is, the way I view that retcon is that he is still Tony Stark. It's just that he's not biologically a Stark. Biologically, he's Latvian, or he was like Doctor Doom. He's raised by the Stark. He is Tony Stark for all intents and purposes. And I almost feel the story going in a way where it really solidifies that what makes the hero is the choices they make, not their DNA. It's not their blood. It's much more nurture over nature. And so I almost think of it as like a big way to even further appreciate Tony Stark, who he was, what he did. And maybe that's the mentality there. Or maybe I'm just totally off with this Doctor Doom theory. We shall see. We shall see. Josh, aka Reverend Warhammer, you in the Ministorum. Maybe. Am I an Inquisitor? I would be a good Inquisitor, bro. I would get all the heresy out of here. I would get all the heresy out of here, boy. Wait, what the hell? What's this say? Okay, guess I will just be a random fan then. I tried to help grow the channel. Guess we Ranger fans just ain't the ones you want helping the channel. I don't know what that means, brother. I just saw your comment, and I have no idea what it means. You can email me, though. Email me. Email me. The Den of Nerds at gmail.com. There's way more toxic scoopers out there. Josh is definitely holding back. I don't know that I would say I'm holding back. I do generally still have a positive feeling about like fandom and content and all this stuff. Um, but like, dude, when it comes to Star Wars, like, guys, like, I got nothing for you. Like, I'm sorry, and when I say that, like, I actually authentically mean it. I am sorry. I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you, bro. To the point where, like, I'd rather just not talk about it. You know, maybe Ahsoka will be fired. Maybe Mando and Grogu will be fired. I gotta be honest with you. I had a thought today where I was like, I don't even think I'll see the Rey movies in theaters. And it's hard because, like, that's years away, and, like, maybe the Ryan Gosling, Sean Levy one's, like, really cool, and maybe Rey's just a small part of it. I gotta be real, man. I had this thought today where I was like, "Bro, like, I don't know, man. I can't really see myself getting excited, going to a midnight showing, or, like, I don't know, brother. Like, I is that really what we have to look forward to? Should we be excited about that? I don't know." Zach Mores says, in my opinion, this Tony will believe the same as needing the suit of armor around the world and that armor being turned into Doom. Yeah, for sure. A lot of people have that feeling. And I would say, yeah, like Tony and Doom are very similar in that way. And so I could absolutely see how you would think that's the correlation. Maybe it is. Maybe he just becomes Doom. But look, a lot of people have said it's not a Stark variant. So unless they're wrong, it's not a Stark variant, right? So I don't know. I don't know. He's gonna make Josh ignore Twitch chat. I mean, I wish. Wait, what? Life size 40K Emperor video right up your alley? Yo, send me the link, brother. Send me the link. Everyone knows how big of a Star Wars fan I am. I totally agree with Josh. Star Wars is fuck. Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know. It's a weird time right now for the Star Wars fandom. Because I think a lot of the people that are left still, because a lot of people left. Man. Like I pretty much tried to walk away. And um I know there are a lot of people that still have hope for certain aspects of Star Wars. There are people like Theory and maybe some of you guys that believe that through fan film and fan fiction you can like keep it alive and like it really means something to you. I feel so scorned over the whole thing that like I don't feel like using my time and energy to like try to revitalize a thing that a corporation has fucked up, you know? And I don't know. Like I don't know what the exact answer is, but for me, like I'm just gonna try to keep covering the news. Um and when Ahsoka rolls around, maybe we'll do some watch parties and I am excited for that. And there are certain things that could be said, like celebration is gonna be a big test, right? I'm looking to see what's the attitude of Lucasfilm, what projects are they talking about? Because like, dude, 2 years ago, they came out talking about 3 movies that are their next thing, and the next movie that's coming out isn't even one of those movies. So it's like Lucasfilm is so weird. So maybe Celebration can get me a little bit more on board, and I could be like, "Oh, okay, maybe there is some good stuff coming. Okay, maybe they can turn it around." But, I don't know. I'm gonna be probably perfectly fine not really caring and not really covering it that much. Like I said, I'm not watching, Andor, man. Nope. Not for me. Alright, chat. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, anything else you guys wanna talk about? I'll chill for like 5, 10 more minutes. Anything else? What's on your mind? Disney must be bankrupt, so they'll sell their IPs. That's the only solution. Yeah, and I don't think Disney's gonna be bankrupt anytime soon, brother. You know? Like, I don't think so. I trust nothing that comes from the mouths of Lucasfilm. Nothing! Yeah, it's hard, huh? Why are you so cool, Josh? I don't know. I mean, I don't really try to be cool. Maybe there's a lesson there. Maybe you shouldn't try. Get my membership chat? Yep, I got it. I got it, brother. Because there's heads in here that say, "Oh, look at chat says," but it should be a middle ground truth that dips his toes in the grip like that. I really don't understand what that's referring to, brother. I don't know. Somebody leaked Brave New World on YouTube yesterday. I hadn't seen it, and I loved going to find a movie in theater that's still showing it. Wait, what? I hadn't seen it yet, and I loved it. Going to find a movie theater still showing it. Oh, that's great, man. If you liked it, go support it. 100%. I got no problem with that. Different strokes, different folks. I hated the movie. Hated it. But I mean, maybe they should just leaked it on YouTube. Maybe that's why it's not making any money. They should have just leaked it on YouTube, and a bunch of people like you would have seen it and then went to the theater to watch it. Maybe I don't know, man. You think RDJ Doom about to be Doom after Secret Wars? Because I don't think so. That is a big question. Big question. Some indication that maybe yes, some indication that maybe no. So take that for what you will. John says, Josh, I would like to apologize over Daredevil. You seem to have been right in the end. I don't understand what you're apologizing for, but apology accepted. I don't know what I was right about, but apology accepted. Hell yeah. Maybe next time attach it to a big old super chat. C-Dub with a big old super chat says, Nerd Erotic is saying episodes 1 to 5 are mostly what they salvaged from the original version that Feige scrapped. He's saying the newer stuff doesn't kick in into episode 6. Any truth to that? Well, I don't know for sure because I haven't seen it. I've heard some things that maybe indicate yes. I don't know though because I've heard multiple things. So in the initial reports, they said that about 5 episodes. But then in some of the other stuff, they said it was only like 1 or 2 episodes. How many episodes total in the season? 9? Is that true? 9? I mean, sure, I could see that happening. I don't know what that looks like though, right? So I'd have to like see how the show's hitting me. Watching the episodes again, I just really appreciated it. Like it's not quite the same as the Netflix vibe. I don't love a lot of the new cast. You've heard what I have to say about that. But I did really enjoy the show. And so even if it's just like the way it currently is, I'm still down to watch it. I'm still gonna enjoy it. I hope there's more action though. So basically what I would say is when I hear this, right? I don't love it, but if it can be just as good as the first 2 episodes, but maybe dial the action up a little bit, then I'll probably be all right. That seems good to me. That seems fine. It's no one's fault. It's just how the CGI in our brains work. I'm not sure what you mean. I must be missing something here. I got Bullseye looking like a CGI dummy, a literal dummy. His body filling in some scenes. Stairwell was cool, but come on. Compared to Netflix, it's night and day. I don't know what to do. You just don't like it. Like, what do you want me to say? You just don't like it as much. That's fine too. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Marvel made a Daredevil show, and we can give them a lot of credit for the creative overhaul, right? But there's a couple of things here. Number one, why did they even have it so different? That's a big question mark, and I think we all know the answer. And then number two, why even in the new version did they not grab up like Foggy and Karen and have them be a part of it? Because it's starting to feel like the show was a little bit of, hey, Foggy and Karen aren't here. That's not going to change until next season. We want the show to feel a little bit more like the Netflix show, but it's not going to have the cast and crew. We need to use this stuff and this new stuff, and we need to bridge it together. And then maybe in season 2, we can bring back the other crew, right? And ultimately, if that's just not working for you, and you prefer the old show, and you don't like the new thing, that is totally fine. You're a fan. You're under no obligation to feel any sort of way. It's all about how it hits you. What did you like about the other stuff? What do you like or dislike about the new stuff? Like, dude, if you are not about Daredevil right now, that's fine. Marvel has to deal with that. And we have not heard them talk about how many people are watching the show. So it is possible that the show is underperforming, which if that gets confirmed, by the way, if it gets confirmed that this show is underperforming, that is massive news. Like, we will talk about that. And I will wag my finger at Kevin Feige and I will say that's bad. So we'll see. Rossi says, what about Alex losing in the UFC and not being able to order it on ESPN? Then ESPN releasing the whole pay-per-view for free, right? What? I didn't hear about that. I wish I would have known it was free. I didn't watch that. You know what I was watching instead? Was The Green Knight. I love that movie. I think it's really cool. I did not know that. What do I think about Alex losing? He got his ass kicked, dude. I think he deserves that loss. It's crazy because it just shows how human he is. But damn, he looked real human. Green Knight is great. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's very cool. It's a very cool movie. It was a weak-ass fight. It wasn't the best. I didn't pay for the pay-per-view, but I watched some of it. Yeah. No, it wasn't the best. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to conclude the Monday show. Really appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you so much. I hope you had fun. Hope the new format isn't too crazy. I'm going to look it over. Maybe we'll make some adjustments for tomorrow. Really appreciate y'all, of course, as always. Now, one thing I forgot to do was talk about show notes. This week, we're going to have a watch party tomorrow night for Daredevil Born Again. I'm quite excited for it. So, episode 3, Daredevil Born Again, tomorrow night at 8:30. It's going to be lit. Wednesday night, we're gaming. We're going to play some Marvel Rivals with the community, and I think it's going to be really fun. So, look out for that Wednesday night. That'll be super fun. Other than that, we're just chilling, baby. Just going to keep on doing our thing. Got a lot of videos planned. I actually have an incredible X-Men video that I'm going to drop later today for you guys. It's dope, bro. And it goes over 10 crazy rumors about the new X-Men plan. And it includes all kinds of reports over the last couple of months. So if you want to know the deal with the new X-Men plan, watch that video. It's going to be sick. Lots of other cool videos coming out this week as well. Appreciate you all. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. What the hell? I'm just on screen still? What the background? This thing's only 55 seconds? Okay, clearly there are some growing pains. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Which, by the way, you want to know what else? I don't know how to do this part now because this is now going to be on the podcast thing at the very end. Nothing I can do about it. So now the podcast people are going to hear me talk about opening up your third eye and washing out your butthole. This whole thing's ruined. So anyway, thanks for being here. Make sure to open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butthole. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.